Welcome. When studying anatomy, the peritoneum is an important subject. Unfortunately though, it's also a difficult to understand topic. What makes it so difficult? I will explain that and also discuss how you can cope with it. There are three reasons. First, the intestines make complicated twists and turns during development of the embryo. And the peritoneum that surrounds them is drawn along with the intestines and thus also is twisted in a complicated way. On this picture you can see it. You see that the peritoneum is twisted. But it shows only one of the rotations and relocations that occur. For many people, the resulting combined three-dimensional shape and position changes are difficult to visualize in their minds. To get a better understanding, it can be useful to study different drawings, models or animations, and the best even is to try to replay the developments by yourself by drawing it, folding a piece of paper or even creating your own model. Second, several areas of peritoneum adhere to each other during development, but in all kinds of different combinations. This may lead to places in the abdomen where there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or even 6 layers of peritoneum stuck together. This picture shows that. It shows the peritoneal layers as they were in the embryonic period. You see 3 layers here, 4 layers here, etc. However, in the postnatal situations, these layers are merged. Therefore, most anatomical drawings also depict them as merged or only show 2 layers. This picture shows that. It shows how it is usually drawn. You see that only 2 layers are drawn. Because of this, it's my experience that you will never get to understand the peritoneum by only studying the gross anatomy books and trying to imagine in your head how the peritoneum runs, no matter how hard you try, simply because the original layers have gone. The solution is to be aware that pictures of the adult situation usually do not show all the original embryological layers. So instead use the previously mentioned embryological animations or models to study the peritoneal development. The third and final reason that makes the peritoneum so difficult is terminology. There are many different terms for parts of the peritoneum. Some examples are shown here. Not only are there many terms, sometimes they also may be used interchangeably, depending on how generic or specific term you use. Just as you may call a cow either an animal, a cow, a Dutch belted or even Bessie. In the same way we may call the transverse mesocolon either peritoneum or mesentery or transverse mesocolon. To overcome these terminological problems, be aware that all these terms denote the same tissue, namely peritoneum, and that it are just names for specific parts of it. In addition, realize that there are a few types of peritoneal formations that have specific terms, namely mesenteries, peritoneal ligaments and ommenta, as indicated now. Know how these peritoneal formations are defined, and also be aware of how derivative terms, such as transverse mesocolon, are formed. Having these basics clear will absolutely help you get a hold on these terms. Really confusing is the historically grown usage of the word intraperitoneal. Intra means inside, but in the anatomy intraperitoneal denotes a location that's not inside the peritoneal cavity, but is only surrounded by peritoneum. But if a clinician applies an intraperitoneal injection, he or she does mean he injects inside the peritoneal cavity. Puzzling? You bet. The only remedy here is to simply be aware of this potential confusion and to try to determine from the context of the sentence what is actually meant. To summarize, the challenges in studying the peritoneum are: first, difficulty to three-dimensionally visualize all its twists and turns. Second, the adherence and disappearance of peritoneal layers. And finally, its terminological complexity. Be aware of these complicating factors in studying the peritoneum and follow the provided tips to cope with them. I hope that will reduce the difficulties for you in coming to grips with this difficult but important subject matter.